to the scholarship part, which is very, very important. And I guess that's the most important questions that our audience would love to hear. The thing is, how do you secure a scholarship? What are the sources from where you can apply for a scholarship? Remember that depends upon the university, the place, the course, and also upon your CV. So your CV is not the only thing which has to be taken care of. So for example, and here in this, I mean, to answer this question, you have to strategize, because the only thing you need to strategize is about the scholarship. Because normally what happens, if you have the if you are a fairly good enough student, and if you have the money to support your studies, normally that's not a problem for you to get the admission. But the trick is with the scholarship. Now US is far better in terms of scholarship, Sumita. That's my personal opinion, because that's my personal experience as well.
It will be very happy to hear that. Hear you say
Yeah,
that.
it would be really happy to hear that. I miss that guy now. Yeah. So the thing is, yeah. So in the US universities, the chance of getting a scholarship is much higher. Uh, and at the same time, you need to also remember that the course fee is way more higher in the US university. So even if you are getting a half scholarship or a half waiver of your tuition fee, even in that case, without getting a scholarship, the UK universities would sound more cheaper. So just imagine that. For example, I'm just giving you a scenario. So George Washington University, the course fee at that time, and I'm only talking about the course fee, I'm not even talking about the the accommodation charges and anything else. Given Washington DC is one of the most expensive places in the world, the course fee was around 60,000 US dollars. They had given me a tuition fee waiver of the first semester, that is 30,000 US dollar was deducted. Even then the total fee, I mean, the total fee then was 30,000 US dollar, in addition to my expenses of surviving in Washington DC for 9.5 months. It was way beyond than the fees in University of Manchester, where I didn't have a scholarship at all.
It was about 14,000 pounds.
Yeah, it was 14,000
right.
pounds, and and Manchester, trust me, is a very affordable place.
Very
Like
affordable.
it's, yeah, and I love the place because of a lot of things, including the food. And being a foodie, I really love any places where the food is good. That's why I kind of hate Sussex as well. Okay.
Yeah, I think with like you said, the scholarships in the UK is a lot lesser. But how you can go about it is sometimes the university itself will offer scholarships. They may have like 2 or 3 scholarships, like in maybe a dean's list, dean's excellence award, or they sometimes have philanthropists who provides X amount of scholarships every year. So when you're applying for the program, if the university has a scholarship, internal scholarship, it would be there. It would actually say in the there'll be a tab that
Yeah.
says scholarship, and then you can click and say whether you want to be considered for the scholarship. So that would
Right.
be the first step. But it's usually very little. Some of them, they don't even have it. Some of them, they may have 3-4 placements
Yeah,
per
yeah,
year.
and also they might have an application for that. For example, I remember, I mean, in Manchester they had a application form for the scholarship itself. So you had a separate statement that you had to write for the scholarship.
Yeah.
And also remember that they also decide on the scholarship based on which country you are applying from. For example, for Indians in UK, there are lot less scholarship than for, let's say, other countries. For example, from the African countries, they had a lot more scholarships than us. Or if you apply from the Middle East, they had a lot more scholarship than us. But in terms of India, I mean, I don't know the reason, but we had I mean, the scholarship chances are very limited. Having said that, what are the possible sources of scholarship? The first one, as Simitha mentioned, was the first, yeah, the university one. Yeah, so that's in the website itself. The others are things like so your country might also offer you some scholarship. For example, in India, we have the Nehru Gandhi scholarship, which is applicable which is applicable for certain universities in the UK. And the list of these scholarships are also available in your university's website. So you go to the website, you go to the scholarship page. There's a list of scholarships that's there, like that's there. So that's that. Like all the information is available in the university website itself. And remember, do not trust hearsay, because there are a lot of hearsay about somebody who has, let's say, applied for a particular course, and he would advise you in a certain way, somebody else would advise you in a certain way. The best place to get all the information, all the updated information from, is the university website and the official university admission counselors. Remember, official university admission counselor, and I'm stressing on that because there are a number of admission counselors, so-called admission counselors in India, who would give you, who would certainly tell you that it's a, I mean, cakewalk to get into one of the universities, but trust me, it's not. So there are certain admission counselors who are officially authorized by the university. I can name a few, not now, later on, but just go to them if you need help. Otherwise, the best place is to mail the university.
Yeah.
They would reply. Trust me on that. It's not India, it's not Malaysia that people are bored of answering mails. They really are very, very accommodative. They love to
Yep.
hear your voice. They love to answer your questions and make sure whatever number of questions you have, just put it. So to just remember all these points, so when you are making the application, make sure that you strategize properly how to select a university. And that is very important. I mean, just as we mentioned, like we selected Manchester for our own personal reasons, but remember, one of the important aspect while selecting the universities is the cost effectiveness of the place. It's not about the university. The university might be cheaper, but the place might be more expensive than the university. Also, that's the economic part of it, but also there can be other things. For example, how how connected is the place. For example, there's a university which I got through for my PhD. It's called the University of York, and I didn't go there. I probably told you about this story. Yorkshire is one of the loveliest places to visit.
It is.
It's full of greenery. You just love the sceneries there, but it's one of the remotest counties in the UK. It does not have that much of connectivity. So less of connectivity, less of resources, less of job opportunities. So it's a direct proportion to that scenario. So make all these calculations, all these assessments before you apply for a particular university. Okay.
Oh,
And
to add to that, sorry,
oh
I
yeah,
forgot about that. One of the good ways to look at the university before you apply, if you say, for my case, if I want to do political theory, what I did was I went and looked at the political, what was it? It's called the, I can't remember the faculty's name. I went to the faculty's website and I looked at the research publication. So you see the kind of work that is being put out by the faculty, by the lecturers, by the research students. So then you know whether or not this university is going to be, based on the output, you would know whether they are actually doing a lot of work on the field that you are interested in. So that would be a very, very,
right,
very,
right,
very good way to
right.
gauge if the university is going to be suitable for you.
Right. And just to sort of wrap it up, and just to come to the other questions, one of the most important questions that I had in mind for you, Sim, is, in your view, how different is the entire academic environment in UK than, let's say, in Malaysia or in India? So how did you feel the difference?
It's a world of a difference, world of a difference. I mean, for one, like I said, critical thinking. It's actually encouraged in the UK. That was actually one of the culture shocks that I had. The lecturer, no matter how uncomfortable your theory or your opinion may be, they want
Oh
to
yeah,
I mean, he can tell you
yeah,
this, but they want to hear because they want to have a critical and constructive discussion. And so
correct.
they actually ask you to speak up and challenge. They even ask you to challenge the lecturers. If you have a view that is challenging to the
Yeah,
lecturers,
yeah,
go ahead and do it. But in Malaysia, I'm sure in the case in India as well, if you challenge the lecturers, you're insulting them. Now you've bruised their ego and they're going to hate you for the entire course. And they're probably going to
yeah.
keep giving you an F, things like that. So that was something that personally for me, I was really impressed. I'm impressed.
I
I'm
mean,
like,
yeah. Just to add to that, if you remember, I guess you were talking about the same lecturer whom I'm talking about. So I remember this particular lecture in which we were discussing prospect of democracy in Afghanistan, and I remember me, Simitha, and a few more, we had the whole debate about you can't force democracy onto a country. I mean, and we had a discussion about how the US soldiers had done it in Afghanistan and stuff like that. Trust me, there was a lot of heated debate, but as Simitha mentioned, we were we were allowed to put our views, and they understood our views. That's the most important part. And I just wanted to take you through one another short incident. Like in the first lecture, I believe the professor asked this simple question that can you and it was a lecture on democracy, I remember, and the professor comes and asks one of these simple questions: can you name a legitimate world leader? And I don't know what happened to me. I just mentioned Saddam Hussein, and you can imagine what has happened after that. The entire class just erupted against me, except a few. The entire class was like, "What the hell is wrong with you? Like, how can you think that Saddam Hussein is a legitimate world leader?" Remember, I had a law background, so the word legitimate has a different meaning for me than most of you. I mean, most of the class. I mean, what I wanted to mention was that no matter you like him or not, no matter the Iraqis liked him or not, but he's still a legitimate leader because at least the world recognizes him as a legitimate leader. But you understand the
and
yeah,
when we ended up discussing it and when the lecturer spoke about it, we actually arrived at the point where we said he is indeed a legitimate leader because you get your legitimacy from foreign governments, you get your legitimacy from your people, from the citizens, and he was able to
right.
get that form of legitimacy. So he was indeed a legitimate leader.
Right. What about the cultural shock and the adjustment factor? If you can shed some light on it.